Sripada Sharanam Prapadhye. Chapter 16. The Account of Srimannarayana. Recollecting the divine history of Sripada and mentally remembering Sripada's name, I continued my journey. My heart felt elated with joy as I was approaching Kungadda, which was the present place of residence of Sripada. I saw a sugarcane field on the way. The farmer of that field was comfortably seated on a cot. He invited me with humility. Sir, please take rest here for some time. You can drink sugarcane juice and leave. Please come. I drank the sugarcane juice offered by the farmer. It was very sweet. He was very happy to know that I was going for the darshan of Sripada. The farmer began to narrate. Sir, my name is Srimannarayana. My surname is Malladi. Our native place is Malyadripuram. In due course of time, that village name changed into Malladi. The native place of Sri Bapanarya is also Malyadripuram and his surname is also Malladi. But he is a Brahmin and I belong to the Kamma caste, farmers. We had a close association with the family of Sri Bapanarya. When Sripada was 8 years old, we left Malyadripuram and migrated to Pitikapuram. The conditions in our native village became adverse. The financial position was very critical. We could not endure the troubles due to our debts. We sold away all fixed and movable properties and reached Pitikapuram with only the clothing we had on us. Sri Bapanarya treated us well and gave us food and drink. We wanted to take on the lease of the agricultural land of Sri Bapanarya and engage in its cultivation. We prayed to Sri Bapanarya, it is not desirable for us to eat like parasites. You gave us food and water and saved our lives. It is painful to sell firewood in the same place where we had earlier sold flowers. That was the reason why we left our village and came to Pitikapuram. Please have mercy on us and give your land to us for lease. We will be grateful to you. Kindly consider. On that day, Sripada was in the house of Sri Bapanarya. Sripada remarked that the food available in the house of Sri Bapanarya is equal to divine prasad. It is not available for those who are bereft of divine grace. It is impossible for the common people to get darshan of a great tapasvi, performer of penance like Sri Bapanarya. You got this good fortune because of the good merit you earned previously. Sri Bapanarya said, we have already given our land to cultivators. They are cultivating the lands. It is contrary to the ethical principles to remove them in the absence of justifiable grounds. Have patience for some more days. Some other way will be found. Then Sripada said, here are a fistful of black grams. Tie them carefully in a cloth and move towards the west. After the fulfillment of your desire, throw away these black grams. Can't the Lord of the universe, who provides food to the frog encased in a rock, arrange food and drink for you? After taking the meals in the house of Sri Bapanarya, we started our journey westward with the black gram tied to our apron fringes. On account of the mercy of Sripada, we did not experience any paucity of food and water. Food was available without asking for it. This was a great wonder. We crossed the state of Andhra and reached the state of Karnataka. On the way, we saw a cottage. An old couple was there in that cottage. They also belonged to the Kamma caste. They had only one son. He died of a snake bite. After some days, their son's wife drowned and died while taking a bath in the Krishna river. Their son did not have any children. There was no one to look after the old couple in their old age. Their relatives wanted to seize their property. They were ingratiating themselves with the old couple with the sweet words. The old pair was in a dilemma as how to partition their properties between those relatives. We received the hospitality of those old people. We were facing some obstacles whenever we wanted to leave the old couple's cottage. At one time, we stubbornly wanted to start on our journey. Suddenly, all the people in the house suffered from vomiting and diarrhea. When we wanted to leave after they recovered, the old couple prevented us. Their affection for us enhanced. It was not liked by their relatives. They were feeling that we were staying in the house to snatch the property. The black grams tied in the cloth began to give an unbearable foul smell. We threw away the black grams given by Sripada, thinking that they were no longer required. We decided to stay there only, come what may. The relatives wanted the properties of the old couple but were not interested in them. As we also belonged to their caste, the old couple was determined to adopt us and hand over the properties to us. Their relatives were observing these matters. It was very painful to them. So they arrived at some agreement among themselves. They wanted to divide the property equally among themselves and drive us away from the house in some way or the other. There was an astrologer who was well known to the relatives. They offered a secret inducement to him and brought him to the house of the old couple. The astrologer told, "Your guests are of utmost misfortune. Wherever they reside, fortune will not like to stay in that house. Not only that, all sorts of poverty will grip them. Send them away from your house as early as possible." For that, the aged husband and his wife said, "If they have the misfortune in their horoscope, as suggested by you, some measures of relief must surely have been mentioned in the scriptures. We request you to conduct puja and other rituals to nullify their misfortunes and confer all auspicious fortunes. We are prepared for any amount of expenditure. The entire world moves under the control of the devas. The devas are under the control of mantras. Such mantras are under the control of Brahmins. Therefore, virtuous Brahmins like you are devas on earth for us. Kindly honor our request." The astrologer had no other option except to make arrangements for the worship. "My dear Shankara Bhatt, rain is required for the paddy crop. Yagna gives rain. Yagna has come from rituals. The Veda is the source for all ritualistic activities. Men should adore the Devas by way of Yagna. The Devas should give all prosperity to them. In this way, there is mutual dependence between humans and celestials. There are of 5 kinds of yagnas, namely Deva Yagna, Manushya Yagna, Bhuta Yagna, Pitru Yagna, and Brahma Yagna. The Leelas of Sripada are very strange. With the monetary aid of the old couple, the sacrifice to achieve auspicious blessings was performed by virtuous Brahmins. In fact, there were no affiliations in our horoscope. By the kindness of the old couple, we had the good fortune of witnessing the most sacred sacrifice. Indra and other celestials are indirect gods. The priests who preside over and conduct the yajna are in fact the direct gods. With the power of the mantras, the small offerings made through the fire to Indra and other devas will multiply to satisfy the various gods. Mother Earth is supported by these seven. Mother Earth is supported by the cows, Vedas, Brahmins, Pativratas, Satyavantulu, people who do not seek profit, and the charitable people. The bull is very necessary for cultivation. Gomata, mother cow, gives useful materials like ghee, milk, and curd and helps humans both in the worldly existence and also in gaining access to the other worlds through sacrifices and rituals. Indra and all the devas accept Havishu, offerings made during the sacrifice, offered with Vedic mantras. The Vedas are the origin of all dharmas. Therefore, the earth is also supported by the Vedas. Brahmins make the people perform virtuous acts like sacred sacrifices. So the earth is also supported by the Brahmins. Virtuous wives protect the dharma from getting disturbed through the efficacy of their virtuousness. Truthful people protect the earth by their adherence to the truth with their truthful resolve. People who do not seek profits, that is, those who forsake greediness, distribute the sweetness in cooperative life to many others. Charitable persons with their earthly wealth and the wealth of merits of the other worlds rescue destitutes, downtrodden, and unfortunate people. Owing to your visit to a great virtuous personage like Sri Babanarya, Sri Pada, who is the embodiment of the yajna, used us as instruments and he indirectly completed all the processes of the sacrifice and blessed us with good fortune. The way in which Sripada rescued his devotees, the sacrifice was completed without any obstacles. The old couple decided that we would be their ease. Their relatives did not like the way things happened. In one of our fields, there was a garden of chilies. There were palm trees on the four borders of that garden. Those palm trees were given to the Gaudas for drawing toddy from the trees. The relatives tried to collect the harvest of the chilies in crooked ways and attempted to take them out. Bags full of ripe chilies were plucked. They kept those bags on bullock carts and were ready to move. At the time I went into the field, I was astonished on seeing the scene. I was alone and they were with 10. Surprisingly, I saw a bear drinking toddy from one of the palm trees. The bear jumped down from the tree. All were afraid of the bear. With its sharp claws, it had the ability to tear the muscles of men. If its claws would pierce the body, blood could also be poisoned. The bear came directly to the bullock cart. Out of terrible fear, the relatives ran away. I was very much afraid and began chanting the name of Sripada. That horrible bear turned very docile. It was calm and was clapping its hands whenever I uttered the name of Sripada. I reached home in the cart, drawn by two bullocks, full with bags of ripe chilies. The bear walked in front of the cart. This caused great wonder not only to the old couple in our house but also to all the neighbors. All through the night we chanted the name of Sripada. The bear was also peacefully and rhythmically beating its hands in tune with the music during the chanting of the name of Sripada. The bear also received the prasad of Sripada very happily. From that day onwards, the bear was moving like a family member. It showed great love towards our family members. It also created terror in those who were inimical towards our family. The bear guarded all our fields. We were rid of the fear of thieves. Discussions relating to the Leelas of Lord Datta and chanting of the name of Sripada were going on uninterruptedly in our house daily. Srimannarayana thus concluded. When Srimannarayana was giving these details, the bear entered the sugarcane field. On seeing it, I perspired profusely out of fear, but it exhibited utmost friendliness towards me. When I started chanting the name of Sripada, it began to dance with joy. Srimannarayana resumed by saying, once a tantric came to a nearby villages. By means of some evil practices, he obtained some powers. He collected lots of money from those who came under his influence. The relatives of the old couple took his help. The tantric came to our village. He applied his tantra on the bear. The strength of the bear was completely lost. The relatives were overjoyed. The bear slept motionless. By one yogic exercise, the tantric identified closely with the consciousness of the bear, and by another yogic exercise, he attracted all its powers into him. Sripada saves his devotees from their past karmas. The playful pastimes of Sripada are unimaginable. It is a laborious matter to search connections between causes and effects. Actions will never occur without a cause. Indra caused terrific rains according to his dharma. Sri Krishna uplifted the Govardhana hill in accordance with his dharma and fulfilled his Gopala dharma. In the same fashion, Sripada also allowed the yogic powers of the tantric to work. The bear was subjected to the torture by the yogic powers of the tantric. However, some element of merit in the bear turned it into a devotee of Sripada. It cried silently. Sripada will surely hear the lamentations of all living beings. While dispensing the results of one's past karma, he will diminish the intensity of the results of sinful actions with his grace. Discourses on the Datta Charitra and the devotional singing of the name of Sripada Srivallabha went on regularly in our house. There were many doubts in the minds of the devotees assembled there. Some of them were absent minded, but some other sincere devotees had unshakable devotion towards Sripada. A miracle took place while the devotional chanting of Sripada's name was going on. The bear, which lay down motionless like a dead one, began to regain consciousness. It regained all its previous strengths. It jumped with joy when the devotees sang the name of Sripada. The yoga of Sri Dattatreya is far superior to all the yogic practices of the past. The soul consciousness of the bear was transferred from the bear into the tantric. The soul consciousness of the tantric was transformed from human nature into the nature of a bear. The nature of the bear was extinguished and a human nature was taking shape in the bear. Though he was in a human form, since his nature was changed into the nature of a bear, the tantric started behaving like a bear. His own followers tied him with ropes and left him in the forest. The bear started speaking human language. Sirs, I was a money lender in my previous birth. I used to collect exorbitant interest and trouble people very much. As a result, I am born as a bear now. On account of my past meritorious virtue, I received the grace of Sripada. Please note that Sripada is verily Lord Datta himself. Due to his grace, I am going to get a nobler birth. The tantric did many sinful acts. In addition, he wanted to harm a devotee of Sripada and a dumb creature like me. For that, Sripada punished him. Both protection and punishment dwell in Sripada. He is always gracious towards those who adore him with steadfast devotion. He punishes those who abuse devotees and those who create difficulties for theists. After undergoing the punishment, they gradually transform into devotees. Keep on chanting the name of Sripada. I am going to obtain a nobler status. All were wonderstruck with this and continued to devotedly sing the name of Sripada. The bear was silent and remained in a trance. While the chanting of the Sripada name was ongoing, three cobras came from somewhere. They were also in a trance as the chanting of Sripada's name continued. The bear gave up its life peacefully. The three cobras circumambulated the bear thrice. No one could understand from where the snakes came and what for they came. We conducted funeral rites to the bear as was done for humans. The cobras stayed in our house for the whole day. Sripada's name was our sole refuge at all times and in all states. We were remembering that sacred name. The cobras drank the milk offered to Sripada. The cobras hissed. If women in their menstrual periods or anyone suffering from foul defilement were in the group, some people were afraid to visit our house because the cobras were in our house. The devotees of Datta used to come freely to our house. Those cobras were absorbed in devotion whenever they heard the name of Datta or Sripada. The relatives of the old couple unlawfully occupied some space in their house. The village elders designated that space as a disputed one. Permission was also granted to those relatives to grow vegetables in that place till a final decree was delivered. The relatives influenced the village elders with an enticement of money. Because of this, the final judgment was not delivered and the judgment was being adjourned on flimsy grounds. There was a snake pit in the disputed land. In the past, people used to pour milk into that snake pit during Naga Chaturthi. As there were no snakes in that pit, people used to pour milk there without any fear. Those who were offering milk used to pray, Lord Naga, grant us the fortune of your appearance, fulfill our desires. All those who prayed like this knew fully well that there was not even one cobra there. Sripada is very skillful. Naga Chaturthi day was very near. This time, those who used to pour milk in the snake pit and pray were hesitating to go near the snake pit. Eventually, Naga Chaturthi day approached. How strange is this world! They pray, Lord Naga, kindly appear. However, when Lord Naga appears, they run away with fear. When we, alone with the old couple, placed the milk offered to Sripada at the snake pit and prayed, three cobras appeared. They drank the milk and went back into the snake pit. Except us, no one came to pour milk into the snake pit that year. Sripada teaches a lesson to people who try to kill serpents, protecting his devotees. A conjurer came to our village on the day of Naga Chaturthi. He was welcomed by our relatives and the village headman. He was capable of bringing any poisonous serpent under his control by immobilizing it with the efficacy of his mantras. He was also capable of bringing back to life anyone who was bitten by a snake. He had the line of Garuda in his palm. The scriptures hold that serpents would come under the control of men who have the line of Garuda in their palm. The headman and the conjurer were contemplating to kill the three cobras in our house. Fires were arranged all around the vicinity of the snake pit. The conjurer sat on his seat and conducted weird tantric rites. Loudly he chanted mantras. We were pained because it was sinful to kill noble serpents. However, we were helpless. We prayed that Sripada alone had to rescue the innocent serpents of the noble class. The serpents came out of the pit as if they were subjugated. This gave a lot of joy to the magician and his followers. However, that joy was short lived. The serpents that came out became bigger and bigger every moment. The magician read the mantras loudly. The serpents moved towards the raging fires, and if they were subdued by the efficacy of the mantras, what a wonder! The fire in their path got extinguished as though the fire god gave them the passage. Finally, all the fire died down. The serpents freely departed from there. The conjurer and his followers were aghast. In the meantime, the eldest son of the headman developed symptoms of a person bitten by a snake. It was strange that symptoms of a snake bite appeared and the body became poisonous without a snake bite. The eyesight of the headman's second son grew dim. It was also unusual for him to become blind suddenly. The conjurer chanted many mantras but to no avail. The line of Garuda in his palm changed shape and completely disappeared. A great fear seized the headman of the village. There was no one to save him except the savior of the helpless, Sripada. The strength of the mantras in the conjurer diminished completely. The conjurer died within few minutes. Who knows how the play of Sripada would be at a particular time? The village headman came running to us, wailing, "What could we do?" We told him that his two sons will be alive if he remembers Sripada with single minded devotion. The corpse of the magician was in the house of the village headman. The two sons of the village headman became victims of the irony of fate. Our kinsmen shuddered with fear. The whole atmosphere was pathetic. The corpse of the magician was taken to the burial ground. The funeral pyre was arranged and the fire was lit. There was a sudden movement in the burning dead body. The corpse cried to save it from the burning flames. The guards of the burial ground, however, refused to pour water on the burning pyre. They maintained that the magician became a ghost and re entered the body, and that he would indulge in all evil activities of the ghost with the same human body if he were to be saved. They added that if his corpse was burned to ashes, it would remain merrily as a ghost and trouble only a few who came under its control by entering into their bodies. They thought that a ghost who enters into his own body would have more powers than a ghost without a body. That ghost in its own human body would cause great destruction and misery. The peculiar method of Sripada Srivallabha is to reveal the real nature of his incarnation by making people experience the fruits of their past actions by generating suitable feelings in their minds in accordance with their past karma. A kind one among the gods of the burial ground, who could not bear the suffering of the human body, poured some water. That water did not put out the fire. On the other hand, it made the fire burn more brightly, as if ghee was poured onto it. Even though the conjurer's body was engulfed in flames, it did not get burnt. His limbs were not disfigured. He was experiencing the suffering that was to be experienced in hell while he was still in his body. Shankara, but creatures suffering many kinds of troubles reside in Raurava and other greater hells for millions of years. While taking a bath, washing shika, wringing the towel, and when taking meals, water is sprinkled while uttering the mantra. Raurave punyanilaye Padmarbuda Nivasinam Ardhinam Udakam Dattam Akshayam Apatistu. The water sprinkled while uttering this mantra will quench the thirst of those who have been dwelling in Raurava and other hells from countless millions of years. Sripada is an easily accessible golden treasure to the righteous people. He is like Yamadharmaraja to those fallen from virtue and those who commit heinous sins. The dead body of the conjurer rose from the funeral pyre. It started jumping and reached the house of the village headman without being burnt, and at the same time undergoing the excruciating agony from the fire and crying aloud. The conjurer reached the house of the village headman. All of us were at the house of the village headman, narrating the stories of Lord Datta and singing the divine name of Lord Sripada Srivallabha, who is the divine, glorious, and new incarnation of Lord Datta. The song of the sacred name Datta Digambara Sripada Vallabha Datta Digambara charged the atmospheric air there with holiness. The divine rays from the gross form of Sripada Srivallabha purify those who are in close proximity to the gross form. The divine rays emanating from his subtle form purify the entire earth. The sacred rays emanating from his casual body purify millions and millions of universes. His great casual body will always remain in the wise, good, and blissful non dualistic state. It rests in eternal tranquility. The superb heavenly rays spreading from that form sanctify Avadhutas, quasi incarnations, great Siddhas, and great yogis who dwell in states of Salokya, Samipya, and Sayujya. These three states mean living in the same heaven, in close proximity, are absorbed into God. When we chant His divine name, He stays there unseen by us. He proves his power and position through his divine miracles. The conjurer derided Sripada, saying, "Is Datta a Digambara? Is Sripada a Datta? Is Sripada also a Digambara? Is he a naked lunatic?" The conjurer was brought from the burial ground while the flames were tormenting his body. He was brought in a stark naked state to the place where the name of Sripada was being sung and was made to stand before the devotees. Was it a simple thing? Was it possible to ordinary yogis? Have we heard such leelas at any time? Have we seen them? Everything was strange, extremely wonderful, unheard of, and it defied logic. Those who bow their head humbly before the auspicious feet of Sripada and seek his refuge will be happy. They will be happy like young infants under complete protection and in the lap of their mother. They will derive all auspicious things and comforts. While the singing of the name of Sripada was going on, the conjurer were also dancing and was getting relief. If he stopped dancing, the pain was increasing. It was quite troublesome for him to dance naked. He realized that it was all his own guilt and that he was experiencing the results of that guilt in this fashion. He recollected that he consigned many snakes to fire with the strength of his mantras. He thought that it was the fruit of his abuse of great people and Digambara ascetics during the period of his ignorance. Repentance swelled in him, and he wholeheartedly surrendered to Sripada. After this development in his mind, the raging fire cooled down. I gave my apparel to him to wear. He later participated with great enthusiasm in the divine singing. By the time of sunrise, the eyesight of the second son of the village headman was completely restored. When the cow's milk offered to Sripada was poured into the mouth of the eldest son of the village headman, his stupor state decreased and he regained consciousness. The conjurer left somewhere declaring that he would lead a virtuous life, ever remembering the name of Sripada. The village headman issued a decree giving the disputed land to the old couple. In the snake pit, inhabited by three king cobras, three Audambara trees came up. After some time, an ascetic named Dattananda Avaduta came to our house unasked. He sat at the base of the Audambara trees and meditated. On one Saturday in the evening, he offered halwa prepared by us to Sripada. He also gave it to us as prasad and asked us to eat. He averred. Sripada used to sit near the base of an Audambara tree in his maternal grandfather's house in Pitapuram with a silver bowl filled with halwa. His mother used to feed Sripada with great affection. Sripada Srivallabha, Narasimha Saraswati, and Swami Samartha are symbolized by these three Audambara trees. In the future, the seeds of these three Audambara trees will grow to be the Audambara tree in the birthplace of Sripada. His divine idol would be installed under that Audambara tree. Those who offer halwa to the Sripada idol installed at the base of that Audambara tree during the time of Shani Pradosha will have the grace of Sripada as a golden treasure within easy reach. Srimannarayana thus concluded. After hearing these wonderful stories, my devotion was strengthened. The next day, I left for Kurungadda. Sripada Rajam Sharanam Prapadhye.